What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a blog post summary agent by creating a simple workflow in N8N. Let's get started. To create our blog post summary agent in N8N, I've created a workflow that I've renamed to blog post summary agent. And here, we're going to start by adding a trigger. I'm going to choose a manual trigger right here. And then in Google Sheets, we're going to add blog posts that we like to summarize. So in Google Sheets, I've created a spreadsheet that I've renamed to blog post summary spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, I've created a sheet that I've renamed to blog posts. And here, we're going to add a blog post link that we like to summarize over here. So here I've added 4 blog posts URL that would like to summarize and generate the main idea, key takeaways, notable quotes or insights, tone and audience, and GPT commentary. So to get these blog posts in N8N, I'm going to search for Google Sheets and click on Google Sheets. And here, I'll click on Get Rows in Sheet Node. Here, we're going to start by creating a credential by clicking on Create a New Credential. Then over here, sign in with your Google account. Then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you'd like to connect to N8N, and your credential will be created. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close this right here. And here I'm going to find our document, which is this document right here. And here I'm going to find our sheet, which is this sheet. Here, I'll click on Execute Step to get our blog post URLs over here. It's amazing. So here we can rename this to blog post URL. And then here, I'll click on Rename. Since I added 4 blog post URLs here, I'm going to limit the URLs to only 1. So here, I'll search for the limit node and click on it. I'm going to limit to 1. And then I'll execute this node. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to get the blog post data. To do that, we're going to use the HTTP request node right here. So I'll click on the node. And then here, we're going to map the URL that we just added in our spreadsheet. And then here, I'll click on execute step. And you can see here, our node was executed successfully. You can see we're getting all the data from our link over here. So this is a combination of every single data from our page. Now here, I'll rename this node to get blog post and click on rename over here. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to remove the HTML from our data right here. To do that, I'm going to search for Markdown and click on Markdown node right here. Here I'm going to add our HTML right here, and I'll click on execute step to remove the HTML. And now you can see, now we can begin seeing data that we can be able to read and understand over here, like you can see over here. This is amazing. So we can try and clean it again. To do that, I'm going to use AI. So I'll click on AI, then click on OpenAI node right here. Then here, I'll click on message model. Here, you'll need to create your credential to connect your OpenAI account to N8N. So from your OpenAI API, add your API key right here and click on save to create your credential. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close it right here and choose a model. You can choose any of these models right here. I'm going to choose a lower model. Since all we're doing is just cleaning our data. And here, we're going to add the prompt for the system role and the user role over here. The prompt for the system role could be in the lines of your text cleaner. And then the prompt for the user role could be in the lines of your task is to take raw blog content extracted from HTML and return only the clean plain text. Here we're also cleaning some cleaning rules, so we're telling the AI to remove all hyperlinks, just keep the anchor text without the URL, remove all HTML tags, code, or special characters, remove unnecessary line breaks, extra spaces, or empty lines, keep only the main readable sentences and headings, do not summarize, rewrite, or add anything, just return the clean text, and lastly we're telling the AI do not write the summary of the blog post. And here we're adding our data, which is this data here, and we like to output a clean plain text article ready to use over here. So to do that, I'll click on execute step right here to clean our data. See, it's executing our node. Let's give it a second. You can see our node was executed successfully. So here you can see we cleaned our blog post right here. This is amazing. So this is way better than what we had over here. You can see. So this is a clean version of this. You can see here. Removed all the links. So now what we have is a plain text of our blog post right here. So here, I rename our node to blog post cleaner and click on rename. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to wait a few seconds to generate our blog post summary. So here, I'll search for the wait node. and click on the wait node right here. And then we're going to wait for, let's say, 3 seconds. Yeah, I'll rename this node to wait 3 seconds. And here I'll click on rename. Now here we're going to now proceed to generate our blog post summary using an AI agent. So in AI, I'll click on AI agent. Here we'll first of all need to execute this node over here. Now after executing our node, I'm going to open this node right here. Here I'm going to choose to define below and add our prompt and our system message over here. Prompt for AI agent could be in the lines of, you're an expert content analyst specializing in blog summarization and market insights. And here we're going to add our system message. The system message could be on the lines of, your goal is to read the following blog post in plain text, understand its key ideas, and produce a clear, insightful, and structured summary. And here we're adding our input details. We're adding the link of the blog post and the full blog post text over here, which is this content over here. And here we're telling the AI agent to summarize the content in a concise yet comprehensive way, focus on accuracy, readability, and business relevance. Your summary must include the following sections. The first section is the main idea section, which will be a 1 to 2 sentences. It should clearly describe the blog's central theme or argument. The other section is the key takeaway section, which will constitute 3 to 5 bullet points. This section will highlight the most important insights, facts, or lessons. It will also focus on what makes the post valuable or actionable. The other section is the notable quotes or insights section, where if the blog includes a strong quote or data point, we'd like to include it briefly. The last section will be the tone and audience summary, which will be a one sentence section. This section will identify who the post is written for and the tone. And lastly, we're adding the style requirements, where we're instructing our AI agent to write in a neutral and analytical language. Do not copy sentences direct from the blog. Keep the full summary between 120 to 200 words, and format should be with the markdown for clarity. Here, I require a specific output format, and then here I'll click on the output browser. Here, I'll click on the structured output browser and add our JSON example over here. Here, we like to output the source of our blog post, the main idea, the key takeaways. Here, also like to output the notable quotes or insights, and the tone and audience right here. Over here. So I'll drag this at the top. The other thing I'm going to add is a chat model. I'm going to choose OpenAI chat model over here. I'm going to choose my credential. Then here I'm going to choose a model. I'm going to choose either of these models right here. I'm going to stick with GPT 4.1 mini. Then I'll drag this at the top over here. The other thing that we're going to do, we're going to add a memory. I'm going to choose a simple memory over here. And here, I'll choose to define below and add a key over here. The key I'm going to add today is 8. Then we can drag these over here. Now here, I'll open our AI agent and click on execute step to summarize our blog post. You can see it's executing our node. Let's give it a second. You can see our node was executed successfully, and we successfully generated a summary to our blog post over here. You can see the source of our blog post, which is the link to the blog post right here, the main idea, the key takeaways, the notable quotes or insights, and the tone and audience right here from the blog post right here. So here, I'll rename our node to blog post summary agent and click on rename right here. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add GPT commentary. To do that, I'm going to use an AI tool. So in AI, I'll click on OpenAI, and here I'll click on the message model node. Here, I'm going to choose a model. I'm going to choose 4.1 mini as our model. And here, we're going to add the prompt for the system role and the user role over here. The prompt for the system role is on the lines of, you are the GPT commentary agent, and the prompt for the user role is on the lines of, your goal is to analyze the following summarized blog post data and write an intelligent professional commentary section that adds value beyond the summary. And here we are adding the input details. Here we are adding the source, the main idea, key takeaways, notable quotes and insights, and tone and audience that we generated from our blog post using the blog post summary agent. Then here we're telling the AI to write an original GPT commentary for this blog post. The commentary should interpret the meaning and implications of the blog post. It should highlight why this topic matters within the industry or context. It should identify patterns, trends, or lessons that emerge. It should optionally connect the ideas with broader market or cultural developments. It should offer forward-looking insights. We're also telling the AI to keep it professional, analytical, and insightful, suitable for an audience of business owners, marketers, and thoughtful leaders. Then here, we'd like to return our output in JSON format exactly as shown below. Each field must be in plain text. no markdown, and no arrays. Use bullet points. Inside tags for multi. Here we're adding a JSON example for output. So we like to output the source, main idea, key takeaways, and the tone over here. So to do that, I'll click on execute step right here. You can see it's executing our node. Let's give it a second. Here, you can see that our node was executed successfully, and we generated our GPT commentary over here of our blog post. That's amazing. So here, I renamed this node to generate GPT commentary. And then I'll click on rename. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to wait a few seconds. So I'll search for the wait node right here. I'm going to wait, let's say, 5 seconds. Yeah, I'll rename the node to wait 5 seconds. Here. And then proceed to update our columns in our spreadsheet with the data that we just generated using our workflow over here. So here, I'll execute this node. Then I'll proceed to update our columns in Google Sheets. So I'll search for Google Sheets. And here, I'll click on the update row in sheet node. I'm going to choose our document, which is this document, and our sheet, which is this sheet. Here I'm going to select the column to match on and choose the blog post URL. And then here we're going to map values to our columns with the data from our workflow. So for the blog post URL, we're going to map it right here. Then here, when I open this node, we like to output our content as a JSON. You can see we generated our GPT commentary again over here. So now here I'll execute this node one more time. And then now when I open our Google Sheets node, here we can map values to our columns in our spreadsheet. So for the main idea, I'm going to map it right here. Key takeaways, I'm going to map it right here. For the notable quotes or insights, I'm going to map it right here. Tone and audience, I'm going to map it right here. And the GPT commentary, I'm going to map it right here. And then now I'll click on execute step to add our data to our spreadsheet. You can see that our node was executed successfully. So here, I rename this to blog post summary. Then here, I'll click on rename. I open our spreadsheet. You can see we updated the summary of the blog post that we summarized using our workflow right here. So we summarize these blog posts right here. And here we added the main idea, the key takeaways over here, notable quotes or insights we added over here, tone and audience we added over here, and we also generated the GPT commentary over here. So we summarized his blog post and added its summary over here in our spreadsheet using this workflow over here. Now the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to send ourselves a notification via email notifying that we've just summarized our blog post, and we can also share the main idea of the blog post. So to do that, I'll search for Gmail, click on Gmail, and here I'll click on send a message node over here. Then here you'll need to create a credential by clicking on create a new credential right here to connect your Gmail account to N8N by signing in with your Google account. Then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you'd like to link to N8N. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close this right here. Then here I'm going to add my email address. The subject line of this email is on the lines of blog post summary added to Google Sheets. Email type, I'm going to choose text, and the message of our email could be on the lines of hi team, any blog summary has just been generated and successfully added to Google Sheets. Here we're adding the blog post URL and the main idea. You can now review or edit the summary directly in the shared sheet. Blog post summary agent over here. And the last thing that we're going to do here is I'll click on add option and click on append N8N attribution, and then I'll turn these two off. And then I'll click on execute step to share the summary via email. You can see our node was executed successfully. So here I'll rename this to send a notification. Then here I'll click on rename. Then the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to end our workflow. So I'll search for the do nothing node right here. Click on it. Here I'm going to map it right here. Then I'll execute this node to complete our workflow. You can see our node was executed successfully. So our workflow works perfectly. We are adding blog post URLs I would like to summarize in Google Sheet. Here's where we are adding the blog post URL I would like to summarize. Then here I'm choosing to limit the blog post to only one since I have 4 blog post URLs over here. And then here we're getting the blog post using this HTTP request node. And here we're converting the data in Markdown. Then we're proceeding to clean the data using this AI tool right here. And we're waiting a few seconds. And then we're summarizing the blog post using this AI agent. Then here we're also generating GPT commentary using OpenAI. Then we're waiting a few seconds. And then here we are updating our record with the blog post summary that we generated using this AI agent. And then we're sending ourselves a notification that the blog post has been summarized. And we're starting the main idea to our email. So now to test how our workflow works in Google Sheets, here I'm going to delete the first row over here and generate a summary of this blog post over here. So to do that, here I'll click on execute workflow. Here you can see that our workflow was executed successfully. Here we got one of the blog posts that we added to a spreadsheet over here. Here the blog post that we got. Then here I limited the blog post to only one. Then I got the blog post right here, converted the data of the blog post into Markdown. And then I proceeded to clean the blog post using this AI agent over here. As you can see over here. So here we got the Markdown, and here you can see the cleaned blog post right here. Then with the blog post, we're waiting a few seconds and then summarizing it using this AI agent over here. As you can see over here, where we are putting the source, main ideas, key takeaways, notable quotes or insights, and the tone and audience. Then we're also generating GPT commentary using this AI tool over here. You can see we generated this GPT commentary over here. And then we're waiting a few seconds and then updating our record with this blog post summary and the GPT commentary. Then we're sending ourselves a notification via email with the blog post URL and the main idea of the blog post. And then we're completing our workflow over here. When I open our spreadsheet, you can see the blog post that we generated the summary over here. So here's its URL. Here's the main idea of the blog post. Here are the key takeaways. Here are the notable quotes or insights over here. Here you can see the tone and audience. And lastly, you can see the GPT commentary that we generated using our workflow over here. We summarized these blog posts and added the main idea, key takeaways, notable quotes or insights, tone and audience, and the GPT commentary using this workflow right here in N8N that we created in N8N. When I open my inbox, you can see the email notification that we're sending to ourselves right here. Here is the subject line of the email, and here is the email body over here with the URL of the blog post that we're summarizing and the main idea of the blog post right here. So we summarize these blog posts, added the summary to our spreadsheet over here, then sent ourselves this notification using this workflow that we created right here in N8N. Now, if you'd like me to create this workflow for you or a workflow similar to this one, just click the first link in the description to schedule a call with me. On the call, we'll discuss into details the workflow that you'd like me to create for you, and then I'll proceed to create the workflow for you. But if you enjoyed this video and you have an AI agent or a workflow in mind that you'd like me to create using N8N, just comment it down below in the comment section. I read all the comments, and if I land on your comment and I find it intriguing, I'll come back on a future video showing you how to create the entire workflow or AI agent from scratch using N8N. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.